Gonna be fun. Looks like we already got Taint Slammer in the chat. He's asking who's gonna throw for the most yards today, Willie. Ooh, that could be really tough. I think honestly the quarterback that throws for the most yards today. Let's go with Justin Herbert, man. It could be a Pat Mahomes redemption, but it depends. I'm not sure he's getting a fully healthy Travis Kelce out there. And to be honest, like the rest of the guys he's got in Kansas City there with Tony, with his his 5 drops last week, that was kind of rough. But Sky Moore too. Like I just don't know if they have enough guys to be sustainable this year. I actually, hot take, I picked Kansas City to not make the playoffs this coming year. So who knows? That could come back and bite me. And Pat Mahomes, you never want to bet against a guy like that. But seems like we're off to a pretty good start in terms of that prediction. But again, I don't want to be the guy to bet against Kansas City, but based on the other teams that I had making it this year, I don't have Kansas City living up to the hype. So I think they got a little ways to go till they're going to refresh that dynasty. I would have liked to see them go after DeAndre Hopkins in the offseason, but they chose not to do that. So I think they're going to end up reaping the benefits of not doing that this year. But I honestly think they didn't have enough cap space to be able to do it. I really don't think they had enough to be able to go after and really attract a guy like him in because they didn't have the 15 million they were going to, that he was going to be asking for. So, but yeah, so just going into a few things here. We're gonna step into this real quick. We'll take a look at kind of some of the predictions last week, talk through some of that, and then we're gonna get into some of the NFL games that we had that are coming up this week and talk through those. So let's get going on this real quick. Okay, so all right, so let's recap last week real quick because there was some things that went right, some things that didn't, and some things that we kind of want to change for this upcoming week. And it looks like I'm going to change this up real quick here. Yeah, there we go. I got my boy Jim Everett up there, so don't call me Chris, okay? So again, for those that don't know, name's Willie Creamin. I'm back again. You can find me on Twitter or X at Willie Creamin FF. But I'm coming back to talk about some football, fantasy football. We'll get you guys hyped for the 1 o'clock games coming up here. So in just about another hour, we're going to start kicking those off. And these are the things we're going to kind of talk about and get you guys hyped for those. So let's recap last week a little bit. Where was I right? Where was I wrong? Sometimes you're right, and sometimes you're dead wrong with these predictions, right? Some people end up making really good picks and they look brilliant. Some people don't. So let's first just say that I'm going to take responsibility for that, especially for where I've led you astray. And I'll try to minimize the responsibility that I'll take for all the great picks for you. I want to be consistent with that. So first thing we'll start off with is the Patriots last week. My claim was that Stevenson was going to be the only Patriot we're starting. Definitely eating my feet at this point because if you look at the box score last week between what Kendrick Bourne and Mac Jones were able to do, Mac Jones actually looked like a quarterback. So maybe in this Bill O'Brien-led offense, they're going to have games where they're going to be relevant. I'm not convinced fully that him dropping back 50-plus times a game is going to be their recipe for success. But I definitely think that he's shown Bill O'Brien that he can scheme, especially against a good team like the Eagles, scheme them back into the game and make it competitive. So very impressed with what I saw from the Patriots. Kendrick Bourne coming over from San Francisco in the offseason and stuff, I really think he had himself a great game. You look at the stats, he had 2 touchdowns and stuff, but the other stuff that really popped off to me was that he was able to get open. Philly's got a good defense. So for them to be able to just kind of exploit some of those matchups and for him to get the snags when he needed to, I really, really like that. Zeke Elliott, too, seemed to be pretty good in a Patriot uniform. I think there was a lot of concern. People were upset that he was being used a little bit more than they wanted him to be used. But the big thing is, with that, he's part of it was Stevenson being sick, right? So he's sick. He's not was battling illness all week and stuff. He ends up coming to the game, but don't get this wrong. He is an absolute workhorse. Stevenson is. He's going to be great for the Patriots for years to come. And let's be honest, when he's not, Belichick's going to cut him. He's not going to pay him. So they're going to get the work out of him that they need. I think it was a rough week one for him, but you're going to see a lot of the touches that Zeke started to get, especially on passing downs. I don't think you're going to see that as much with Stevenson. So just wanted to say thank you, Taint Slammer. I appreciate you got the kids watching. That's awesome, man. I really, really like it. I'll make sure I keep it clean for them. So in terms of the Patriots as well, also look at Hunter Henry. He played very, very well. He did. He actually did better than I think most people anticipated, and he was one of the top waiver wire pickups this week in fantasy because of that. So really impressed with what I saw from the Patriots. Now, how are they going to do when they come in against the high flying Dolphins here and be able to keep pace with them? I think Philly's got a little bit of a better defense, some angrier guys on defense for sure to get after the quarterback than Miami does. But don't be confused. Miami's got a great football team. They're very well coached, and I'm pretty sure that they have the best coaching staff, top to bottom, in the NFL. Mike McDaniels knows how to scheme properly. He's got the most dangerous player in the NFL with Tyreek Hill on his team. And you look at Tua too. I mean, he's one of the fastest out there in terms of diagnosing plays. So let's see how the Patriots do this week, and it's going to be a big test for them. So moving in and things that I was wrong about, Romeo Doubs. I thought for sure Luke Musgrave and Jaden Reed were going to get more attention, but Doubs ended up with the dub touchdown day, which was very, very helpful for him. Isaiah Likely was not a good play in week one. But let's be serious for a second. The Ravens had a bad offensive line week one, losing their tackle in the first quarter, then losing their center after that. That's just not good. And most likely they're not going to be there this week either. So kind of iffy plays in terms of Baltimore with that. Another rough pick that I had was Alexander Madison, and that kind of stemmed into week two as well, where you look, they're trying to establish the run there in Minnesota, but they're just having a really difficult time doing it. Bradbury was out for them, which is makes things very difficult. But you could see they were very, very competitive against Philly, and it made for an excellent Thursday night game for that. Just Madison just wasn't as involved as I kind of was hoping he would be, and when you're playing from behind, it's really difficult to run the ball. You got to throw the ball a lot. Marvin Mims was another one. He played like crap. Behind two guys that very few people even know in the NFL. So not really going to look into that too much. I think, there was rumors that Sean Payton and the Denver coaching staff, they're trying to scheme him in a little bit, a little slowly, and hopefully that becomes more gradual as they move through. So maybe this is the week that, he gets more targets, but last week, Denver just did not look good. So maybe this week they get Jerry Jeudy back. They're able to play a little bit better because there's a lot of pressure on that staff and Russell Wilson in general. So, and the last one that I was wrong about, Najee Harris, man, he had a rough day, but Steelers had a rough day in general. I mean, they just they were out of it after basically the first half. I mean, San Francisco was just piling it on. Kenny Pickett was running for his life. They had no way to be able to establish the run. I think they had 25 yards of offense through the first quarter. It was really, really bad for them. So not a great day, but let's move on to some of the things that actually did look good in terms of the good picks. So I look like an actual genius for for the Dobbins-Burks trade for Dameon Pierce. And the reason I say that is not to gloat about it and stuff, but sadly enough, Dobbins ended up tearing his Achilles shortly after that touchdown run that he had. And so he's out for the year. Burks did not play well at all week one. He was just largely ineffective. He could bounce back this week against the Chargers, but just really didn't look that good. A lot of the targets went DeAndre Hopkins' way, but Hopkins may not be there this week, and that may give Burks a chance to step up. So Dameon Pierce didn't play particularly well, but that offensive line's in really rough shape right now, and once they start to get healthy and and they come back, you're going to see the running game there start to build. So I think Dameon Pierce is sneaky good, and I think he's one of those guys that's going to continue to get better as the season goes. Raheem Mostert, or Raheem Mustard, was a solid play. Definitely played very well in that game, especially with Miami throwing the ball so much against LA. He still was a very solid play for them. So really happy to be able to see that. Jordan Addison was great in week 1 too, but better in great in week 1, better in week 2. Look out for this guy. Again, one of my guys this year. Really think he's got a lot coming in as a rookie, and I think he could be on that level or right beneath there with guys like Devonta Smith, T. Higgins, Tyler Lockett. I put in there too, but I definitely think he's going to have a chance to be the best out of those rookies that ended up coming through. He's definitely off to a good start so far. So moving on to some start-sit decisions and stuff. A couple people reach out to me with fantasy questions throughout the week and stuff, and I really appreciate that. Thank you for doing that. I'm sorry I can't get back to everyone. I am a little busy and stuff, but I picked out a few to discuss here because I really like them, and I thought that I wanted to be able to pull a few to give you guys feedback on. So Mike from Chicago asked about Justin Fields against the Bucs or Tua against the Pats. And this is kind of an interesting one because it's hard to discount Tua here with his week 1 performance. But Bill Belichick is the best in the game when it comes to taking a player out of it. Even dating back a few years, you look at what he did when Peyton Manning was there. You can't let Peyton Manning on the field. You got to run the ball effectively. So that's what he did. They ran the ball, they milked the clock, and they kept him off the field. This guy knows how to scheme people out of games, and that's what I think he's going to try to do with Tua. He's going to try to send his guys after him and get him a little rattled and stuff. And the more uncomfortable you make him, the better it is. But if Tua is able to find Hill here, then it could be GG for the Pats. And you saw last week exactly what did happen when he was able to connect with Hill. And he's just, like I said before, Hill's the most dangerous guy in the NFL. This guy with the ball in his hands is very, very scary. So I do see the Pats playing zone in this game, and I know they typically play man, but look at what they did last week against Philly. Jalen Hurts eats man coverage up. So what did the Pats do? They decided to play zone against him, made things a little more uncomfortable for him. So I definitely see them doing the same thing this week for Tua. However, in this, I think Fields is going to have a better game just due to his rushing capabilities, right? I think he has the higher ceiling for it. I think the Bears get on on track this week against the Bucs. Eberflus has them pumped up, ready to go, and I think they got punched in the mouth last week, and I think they want to turn it around. So Green Bay kind of embarrassed them, and I think they're going to come out strong. You're going to see them throwing the ball well. They got DJ Moore there. I think they're going to get him involved early and often, and I think you'll see a much better Bears team this week. So Rumesa from Boston, kind of interesting because Rumesa is a Turkish name, but very interesting. Thank you for reaching out. She was asking Jerry Jeudy or Terry McLaurin. And this is a good one, too. I really think Jerry Jeudy is still coming back from that hamstring issue. Do I think he's going to be good? Yes. And I think this is going to be a different question if we're talking about week 7, right? But we're on week 2. He missed the first week. He's getting, kind of back from that hamstring. He had a few days of good practice this week. I definitely am going to go McLaurin here just because of the upside. With that, I think he's got a better chance to be able to make some plays, and I just think it's going to take a little bit for Jeudy to kind of work back into that system, and we really don't know who the Broncos are yet under Sean Payton. We got to see, is he able to fix Russell Wilson, or is it going to be much of the same that we've been seeing from Wilson? So thank you, Rumesa, for asking that. Tim out of Virginia here was asking Justice Hill or Gus Edwards. It's kind of impressive you have both. You dog you. I just, if you got both of them, you were sneaky in your league and able to snag both of them. Makes me wonder who's actually watching the waiver wire there. But I would trust Gus Edwards, even though Justice Hill had the touchdown last week. I definitely think Gus Edwards is going to handle more of the bulk of the carries today. And you're going to see that. So I really think they were talking about there being rain at this game too. If that happens, definitely lean on Gus Edwards. I definitely think he's going to get a lot of touches today in this game. Allen out of Miami, Jahmyr Gibbs versus Isaiah Pacheco. For me, this is definitely Gibbs. There's just too much upside, and against the Seahawks defense, they were just gutted by the Rams really, really badly. Gibbs provides a ton of upside that I'm confident Pacheco just doesn't have. Right, like we've seen Isaiah Pacheco before. We know what he's capable of. Gibbs played a very small percentage of the snaps. He leads the league in broken tackles off of that percentage of snaps. And I really think this week he gets a little more involved, maybe a little less Montgomery, but I definitely think you're going to see a lot out of Jahmyr Gibbs. And this guy's electrifying. Like, I cannot wait till he really bursts onto the scene and people can see what he's really capable of. So, really good question there, Alan. But for me, it's Jahmyr Gibbs all the way. The last one here, Mike out of Pasadena. I'm thinking that's California. So nice to hear from you, Mike. Thank you for the nice message and stuff. You were asking about Jets defense or the Cowboys defense, and I think this week you got to lean on the Cowboys defense, right? The Jets defense is definitely a good defense, but for me, what it is, and I hope you're not rostering both of them, even though both of them have talent. That means there's probably guys out there on the waiver wire that could be more talented. So I personally wouldn't keep two defenses if I were you. But again, it's up to you. This week, I'm taking the Cowboys defense. I just think they were dominant in week one. They put up so many points. So for me, it's kind of a no-brainer for that. And I think they're playing against the weaker quarterback, right? So for me, I definitely like that with the Cowboys pick there. But again, thank you for reaching out, guys. I really appreciate the nice messages. Some of you were giving tips on how to improve and stuff. I really, really appreciate that. So thank you so much, and I really appreciate the support on it. So let's move on to some injuries real quick. There's a few big names out this week. Austin Eckler, he didn't travel with the team. So I would definitely, if Joshua Kelly's there on the waiver wire, pick him up and play him today because I think he's going to have a good day. Maybe not great and stuff because I see the Chargers throwing a lot, but definitely think he's going to step right into that role. And he played well last week. I mean, to be honest, he should have been rostered in the waivers based off of his production last week. So Eckler not traveling with the team, it's kind of sad, but he's got to rest up, and it seems like that ankle's bothering him a little bit. Hopefully, it's not something that leads into week 3 or 4. There's actually one guy in one of my fantasy leagues that actually has Eckler and this next guy I'm going to talk about, Aaron Jones. And I think Aaron Jones is ruled out as well. AJ Dillon, hopefully he's able to have a bounce back week. I think with Aaron Jones, it's a long season, right? Having a hamstring injury that you tweak and stuff doesn't seem too bad, but the risk of re-aggravation goes up tenfold when if you're going to go in there and try to play the next week. So really think it's a good decision he sits out. And it's sad to see him sit out too, because I really like watching him play as well. So looks like Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews are going to be goes today. How effective will they be? We don't know, right? Like I mentioned before, Baltimore, it looks like it's going to be rain in there today. So could be a decent day, but if the rain holds off, I definitely see Andrews being able to get more involved, and hopefully that quad injury doesn't re-aggravate itself. In terms of Kelce, I think, just to kind of piggyback off of what Tane Slammer was asking before, Travis Kelce, I think he's got opportunity to play well, and he needs to play well, right? Like he needs to be the go-to guy for Pat Mahomes, and we're just hoping that bone bruise doesn't bother him that bad, and he's able to play through it today. Because another guy that's really electrifying to watch and a lot of fun. Another one, and this was probably the biggest pickup this week off waiver wire after the week one, was Puka Nacua, and this guy, it's sad to see that he was injured right away. Didn't expect to have to sit him. But you may not have to. He's leaning towards playing, and it looks like he's going to be out there. That's what we're hoping for, at least. Really think, he's another guy that Stafford's going to rely on as long as Cooper Kupp's out. So definitely think he's going to be in there today. Moving on, Breece Hall, Javonte Williams, they seem to just be defying the odds. And, Breece Hall wasn't particularly in shape from watching him get run down on that long 85-yard run. But this guy's a powerhouse, and maybe he is, the next Adrian Peterson with the way he was able to recover. Javonte Williams too. He's another special player. People forget how good he was last year when he was playing. But to come back the way he did. And I mean, this guy's entire knee got destroyed. For him to be even running the ball and somewhat effectively, like I'm very impressed by that. He didn't have a great game one, but I definitely think that had to do with Vegas kind of keeping it close, and Denver starting to understand who they are. So I personally don't like his chances against Washington this week, but he's going to be out there, so definitely has an opportunity to be able to move through it. But let's move on real quick about we'll break down some games this week and kind of see exactly what we have going on here. So let's see here. All right, so I'm going to go through some of the week 2 games and we'll talk through those. Let's see. So we've got Green Bay and Atlanta first. Uh, Man, this is a fun one. Jordan Love definitely looked good in the first week. And the Packers, I think, were a lot better than people were expecting. I say that, but we really didn't know what to expect with Jordan Love, having not really seen him play at all, being behind Aaron Rodgers there. So for him to step out and actually have a good game, his top target was down in Christian Watson. I'm fairly certain Watson's going to be out again today. So you're going to see definitely more time with Romeo Dobbs. You'll see Luke Musgrave as well. Jaden Reed should be involved as well. They're going to have to lean on A.J. Dillon. And then you've got Atlanta, which is kind of an interesting interesting team, right? Arthur Smith, the guy who likes to run the ball 75 times a game. They bring in Bijan, but with the 10th pick in the draft, or I think he actually went 7th or 8th, something like that. But was an absolute supreme talent, and it was on display week 1. I mean, he was an absolute stud week 1. Made a lot of fantasy managers very, very happy for people that spent a first-round pick on him. Looked good, looked physical, was able to run well on routes and stuff. Definitely looked very, very much the part of what we were expecting. And the interesting part for me was seeing that Tyler Algier was so involved. Because he had a great year last year. I mean, I'm shocked that they drafted Bijan, but they're going to utilize both of them this year, and I really think if Algier stays healthy, I definitely think they have a good shot to be able to be very effective running the ball there. They've got an absolute crazy offensive line when it comes to running the ball. Just some straight maulers on that line. And I definitely think that bodes well for Atlanta, but I just don't see them getting it done against Green Bay. Maybe Aaron Jones is going to be the missing piece that Green Bay misses, but I think Jordan Love's able to get it done today when they visit Atlanta. So definitely like Green Bay in this matchup. All right, moving on here, we've got Raiders at Bills. Now I got to be honest. I picked the Raiders to not win a game this year, so I already failed on that. I already failed on that. They won week 1 against Denver. Definitely frustrated to see that. I feel like Denver should have won that game, but Las Vegas earned it. So now they get the luxury of traveling to Buffalo and playing against a Buffalo team that really got their butts kicked and probably should have won that game against the Jets this week. So this past week. So I don't like the Raiders' chances, especially with Jacoby Myers out. He had a great game last week with the 2 touchdowns, but then ends up missing with the concussion, and he's going to be out this week. And we just hope he has a quick and safe recovery from that, because it was a scary hit that he took. So definitely we'll see him back next week, or maybe it's going to be week 4. But we'll see what happens this week with the Raiders. I just don't know if Devontae Adams is going to be able to shoulder the load with that. Obviously, he's a great premier receiver and stuff, but I want to see more of the Jimmy Garoppolo, Devontae Adams experiment before I'm sold in on that. Josh Jacobs, I think he's going to have a tough time running against the Bills, but you just look at what happened with the Jets, and they were able to run like water against them. So we'll be able to see, maybe they're able to establish a good run game, and Jacobs is able to play pretty well against them. But with Buffalo, I just see Josh Allen getting back on track. And I know there's been stats that have come out. People have talked about it, that he's just hasn't been playing that well. I think he's got through 19 games. He's got like over 40 turnovers during that time. I think it's over 50 actually now. Just turning the ball over and not protecting it. the way he probably should be. But I think they get back on track this week. I think Stephon Diggs has a good game. I think Dalton Kincaid gets more involved. Gabe Davis, Gabe the Babe, I think he has a better game as well. I definitely see him picking it up quite a bit. And maybe we get to see a little bit of James Cook, running the ball effectively and maybe catching the ball out of the backfield a few times. I think the Bills win big at home against the Raiders. But that's my thought. I know they're still a few weeks out from having Von Miller back, but they're going to ease him back in, and I really think that when they do, that they're very smart. Bean is definitely very smart by doing that because that's a guy that is a absolute game changer. You're talking a guy like Nick Bosa, T.J. Watt, Micah Parsons. Von Miller is that guy. You saw it with the Rams Super Bowl with them winning and stuff. Like this guy just changes games. He's very, very difficult to take out. And he's a game wrecker. So definitely like the Bills' chances today. And I think they win big over the Raiders. So, all right, moving on here. Let's see. We've got Baltimore visiting the Bengals. Definitely think Baltimore, had a decent week last week, but I expected a lot more from them. I thought they played very sloppily. Probably in part because of their offensive line kind of disintegrating before their eyes. So some bright spots in it. Zay Flowers played very, very well. He had like over 40% target share in this offense. And he proved that he's definitely worthy of that first round pick, at least out of the gates. I think Lamar's going to have to do more. He's going to hopefully have Mark Andrews back this year. This game, I think it's going to kind of depend on exactly how good he's able to be today and how effective he is. But let's talk about the Bengals real quick. And I really think, to just kind of comment on what Tane Slammer's talking about, Burrow, it's so vitally crucial that he has a good game today. Last year, you saw the same thing with them starting out with Pittsburgh. He threw 4 picks in the first week, came back the second week, and then was just locked in. I think him missing time, like this has been kind of a recurring theme with him, right? He's been missing time every single preseason, hasn't been able to really get the reps in and stuff, so he does start off a little rusty. But I think this is the week they get it turned around. Baltimore secondary's banged up a little bit with Humphreys, and I really think that this is the week that he gets on track with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. I think they're able to run the ball effectively. And I think you're going to start to see, the addition of Orlando Brown there and how pivotal that's going to be as the left tackle kind of protecting his blind side. So I'm hoping he's able to keep the Ravens defense off of him, give him some time, and I'm hoping to see a great game from Burrow. I really want to see that. So I also think their defense is underrated. I know they lost Jesse Bates, and I know they're missing him and stuff, but as he had those first 2 picks in Atlanta last week. But I really think that they're going to have a better season on defense than people are actually expecting. So look out for them getting after Lamar today. They're going to be chasing him for a little bit. I definitely think they get at least a couple sacks on him and make this game very different. So, all right, let's move on here real quick. We've got Seattle and Detroit. So with Seattle and Detroit, this is kind of interesting because you've got one team in Seattle that got absolutely stomped by the Rams last week, and that was something we definitely did not expect. So the Geno Smith-led Seahawks just did not impress at all last week. They actually ran the ball decently well, but when it came to the second half, I think they ran 12 plays. They didn't get a first down in the second half, and you're just not going to win football games or be in many football games playing that way. So they definitely need to improve on that. It's going to be tough. They ended up signing Jason Peters, 41-year-old Jason Peters, as a free agent this week, and you're going to see him likely in there at left tackle, trying to protect the blind side there because both their tackles are missing this week with injuries and stuff. And it was just kind of sad to see that because they played so well last year. They were the lifeblood of that team, and why they experienced so much success last year. So I definitely think the Seahawks are going to have their hands full with the Lions. The Lions are coming on riding very high from that first victory over Kansas City. It definitely helped them a lot. and I definitely think they're going to carry that momentum in. They're playing at home. This is their home opener, and I really, really like this Dan Campbell team. I really do. It's possible, Taint Slammer, that they could become an America's team. This is what I'll say. It's not that I don't think they can become America's team, but it makes it very difficult to not want to cheer for them. The way Dan Campbell kind of runs that team and gets those guys to kind of believe and buy into it, it really is a guy that you want to see do well. For me personally, I love the Lions. I think it's great. My dad's a Detroit fan, so he's kind of following them on the side, but I really I like what this team brings. I think they play better on defense um, than people expected. Brian Branch as a rookie is going to be great, and I like that. Taint Slammer, that you say that, because it's always good to have like a main team with you liking the Pats and stuff, but having that second team really, it feels good to have like a second team to kind of follow and kind of root for. I will say that Detroit is one that plays on your heartstrings. When you listen to Dan Campbell speak and what he says about this team, he is just infused with passion. You could tell that this guy eats, sleeps, and breathes football. And he really, really wants these guys to win. He really does. I know a lot of it comes down to coaching and stuff, but the guy's got to play on the field as well. And I really think Detroit ends up winning this game by a lot. I just think Seattle's got too many injuries right now. I think it's going to be kind of difficult for them to keep Aiden Hutchinson under control on defense. That guy's turning into a monster. And I really think, it's the young guy versus the old veteran there with Hutchinson going against Peters. I really think he's able to get at least a couple sacks this game and make things difficult. So I definitely like the chances of Detroit this game. All right, let's see. Who do we got here? Okay, we got the Chargers and the Titans. So the Chargers, okay. Now, Brandon Staley. Listen, a lot of people don't like this guy at all. I know I've spoken on the podcast before with Al about this, and people don't care for Staley at all because of the way he kind of coaches, and he's a little risky and stuff. But I think this is it's an interesting position because the people that like him, great. The people that don't, fine as well, because this is going to be the year. He either gets it done this year or he's probably going to get let go. And that's the way I honestly feel about it. I hope with Kellen Moore and Justin Herbert on the same team, I think the plays are going to be schemed up for Herbert to succeed. And I really, really like Justin Herbert. One of my guys that I've had, I talked about him before and stuff, but I really just think as long as his guys are able to stay healthy, his Rashawn Slater, his left tackle. I know Eckler's out this week, but as long as he's able to keep the receivers healthy, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Quentin Johnston, I think you're going to see a lot of production out of them. The one thing I will say that makes me a little nervous about this game is Mike Vrabel's an excellent coach. He was an excellent player, excellent coach. He knows how to be able to control the game, and it worries me that Tennessee is being slept on this game. They are playing at home. People were saying, Derrick Henry didn't get enough carries last week. They were worried about Tyjae Spears and stuff, but I definitely think Tennessee's able to run the ball well. I know the Chargers are not going to be able to run the ball against them because Tennessee has a very, very good run defense. So that's going to be very difficult for them to do that. I see this game. If Tennessee's able to get pressure on Justin Herbert, it's going to be really tough for the Chargers. But I have the Chargers winning at least 28-10 in this game, and I think Justin Herbert's able to get it done. It's going to be through the air, but they're going to be able to do it. Sorry, Tennessee, I just don't think you guys have enough. Hopkins, they're talking about him being out. I just don't think you guys have enough on offense to be able to keep it relevant in this game. And it's sad because I really do like Ryan Tannehill. I've been a fan of his for years now. And I think he's a good quarterback, but I just think they don't have enough on the offensive line to help him. I just don't. And I don't think Derrick Henry's going to be able to be as effective as he kind of needs to be in this game, which is toting the ball, 25, 30 times. I just don't see them being able to do it. So, all right, let's move on here. All right, we've got Chicago at Tampa Bay. Now, this game, I talked about it a little bit earlier when we were talking about Justin Fields before. I know it was Mike from was it Mike? Yeah, Mike from Chicago that was asking about it and stuff. And I really think Tampa Bay is got lucky in week one. Baker Mayfield, I know people count him out. I love being able to watch him play. I just think they're going to lose a lot of games this year, and I don't think it's necessarily going to be his fault. They just don't have a ton of talent on that team. Yeah, I'm glad you like Baker too, man. He's a guy that I did not like at all when he came into the NFL, but he's been counted out all the time. Like just the way things were handled when he played in Cleveland, of like OBJ being like, I don't want him as my quarterback, kind of forcing his way out of Cleveland and forcing his release, and then ending up with the Rams, and then it was just an ugly situation. And then you see last year Baker goes to the Rams. He has that one crazy good game after he gets there on like a Thursday or like a Tuesday or something, and he plays 2 days later and they win the game. Like it just, how can you not like this guy? Like I really want to see him succeed. I just think Tampa Bay, like, yeah, they've got a few guys left from that Super Bowl team. I just don't think they have a ton of talent, though. Yeah, I honestly think guys like Mike Evans are going to be gone by week 7. I see them trading him for value. They didn't re-sign him and stuff. I know he can't be too happy. I really see them not being that good this year. They may be able to sneak out a few more wins because of the division they play in is pretty weak. But I definitely don't like them in this game. I think Justin Fields and the Bears get on track. Eberflus, I think, has them prepped and ready to go to be able to really kill it this week. So I'm really picking the Bears, and I think it's going to be by a lot. I just think Justin Fields goes wild. I think DJ Moore has his first 100-yard game as a Bear. Khalil Herbert on the ground as well. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bears hang 200 yards up on Tampa Bay in terms of their rushing defense. So really like them in this game. All right, moving on here. We've got Kansas City and Jacksonville. Now, this is a game I am very, very excited to talk about. Kansas City, they got embarrassed in week 1, at home, and that just doesn't feel good at all. I think probably the weirdest thing about it was actually, welcome to the chat, Bumpy Johnson. Glad to have you here, man. Thank you for joining, man. I just what I was saying about Kansas City, I just don't think you don't expect to see an Andy Reid led team or Patrick Mahomes led team play that poorly. You just don't. Like it's very, very rare to see something like that. So I think they bounce back this week, but I still think it's not going to be in the fashion that people want. If you heard my podcast with Al earlier this week, I actually picked Jacksonville to win this game. And I think the Jags are super scary this year. Now, listen, they weren't able to play a full game of football last week against the Colts, and it ended up becoming pretty close. But I think with Calvin Ridley playing the way he is, Etienne, he's an absolute beast, and Trevor Lawrence, I think, is really going to step into his own this year. I see Calvin Ridley going for $150 on these guys and at least one touchdown. So I really think that he's going to have a really, really good shot at playing very well this week. Who knows with Kansas City? Are we? There we go. Now we got the prayer again, boys. There we go. Okay. With Kansas City this week, having Travis Kelce back, how good, how bad is that bone bruise? We're going to have to kind of see. So I'm hoping that he comes back and he's healthy. He's rocking the stash. He's dating Taylor Swift, or at least we think so. I think he's really going to have a good shot at being able to play well. So I think it's going to be close. It should be high scoring, going back and forth. Welcome to the chat, Basharian. Okay, yeah, I'm going to give you some good prophecies. Don't worry, I'll take care of you. So, all right, yeah. So I really think they're able to get it going and stuff, but I just don't think it's going to be enough to be able to take out Jacksonville this week. Chris Jones is going to be back, and that's who? Chris Jones. Yep, he'll be back. Which I think is a big thing because he's going to provide an interesting dynamic to that defense. Maybe they play a little bit better with him being there. I definitely think that he's that guy that you need in the middle. And if Doug Marrone is going to coach the way I think he's going to, they're going to keep Etienne running away from Chris Jones. You got to be able to do that. So I'm really looking forward to this game. I think it's going to be high scoring, but I really think that Jacksonville ends up taking the cake at the end of the day. All right, let's move on here real quick. We've got Indy and Houston here. this is kind of an interesting game. So my Colts travel to Houston, and I was actually quite impressed with the way Indy played in Week 1. It's just kind of a sad story. Anyone that kind of knows about the way that season's kind of started with the preseason and stuff, and hearing about Jonathan Taylor holding out, and the opportunity, him kind of forcing his way out of Indy, which is just it just doesn't feel good, right? Like you have this guy that is one of the best, like I would put him as like the top 3 running backs in the NFL, and this guy doesn't want to be on your team anymore. And like that's super sad, right? Like one thing I will say, and Al and I disagreed on this, and he didn't really care for Jim Irsay, but as an owner and stuff, but Jim Irsay's had a history of paying his players. I look back at some of the guys that they paid. Gary Brackett, some of the lower named guys, right? Gary Brackett, Cato June, loved Cato June. They paid Bob Sanders. He got hurt all the time, but they paid him. They obviously paid Manning, Marvin Harrison, Dallas Clark. You've got Jeff Saturday got a deal as well there. Reggie Wayne, like all of these guys got deals there and stuff. So I think he's got a history of paying his players. It's just sad to see like these guys forcing themselves out and try to like renegotiate contracts like 2.5, 3 years out. It just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Like, do I think he should be paid more? Yeah. Do I think they could have probably handled it behind closed doors? Yeah. But do I think his agent butchered this? Absolutely. And it was just kind of sad to see that happen. So who knows what that's going to mean for the Colts. But Anthony Richardson, very, very bright spot in this team. Played very well. I think, Trevor Lawrence gave him some good advice that like, hey, don't take as many hits. Anthony Richardson's an absolute man. This guy's a dog, right? Like 6'5", 240. Like he's a big, big dude. And he throws his body around and stuff. You kind of saw that last week. I just would prefer to see him not as um, a little more careful, right? Play with that reckless abandon, but like be a little more careful. I don't want to see you end up getting hurt or anything like that because you are the team now. We need you to stay healthy and stuff. So I really like Indy's chances going into Houston and stuff. I think Houston's still learning a lot. Their line is an absolute mess. C.J. Stroud, I know he's trying to do what he can there, but you got Noah Brown that just hit IR. They're getting hit a little bit in terms of injuries and stuff. I really want to be able to see Dameon Pierce run the ball well, but I just think until that line gets healthy, it's going to be kind of difficult. So I really think that Indy ends up winning this game, but it's going to be pretty close. Maybe 21-17, something like that, but definitely see Indy pulling it out. So, all right, let's move on here. We got San Francisco and LA. San Francisco travels out to Los Angeles to play the Rams. The Rams coming off a hot win over against Seattle and stuff, and San Francisco just absolutely, I'll keep it appropriate, punched Pittsburgh in the mouth. Real hard. So they had a big game against Pittsburgh. Real sad to see that. I know Bumpy Johnson's a Pittsburgh fan, so sorry to see that go down that way. But San Francisco, I think, is just riding high. Like their offense looks like they're in mid-season already. Absolutely killing it. Christian McCaffrey looked good. Brandon Ayuk looked good. Deebo Samuel looked really good too. Definitely see them playing very, very well. And I think that carries into this week as well. They're going to run the ball effectively. Brock Purdy seems to be that guy, and until he shows us that he knows how to lose, we're going to continue supporting him and seeing that he can win. In regards to the Rams, it's really tough, man. Without Cooper Kupp there, I think it's just really, really tough for them to be super effective. And they were able to be effective against Seattle, but Seattle's defense got torched. This is a brand new defense in terms of, or I guess a very different defense, I guess you could say. Not brand new. A lot of the same characters, right? Fred Warner, Nick Bosa and stuff, absolute studs. They're not the Seahawks defense. These guys are real players and stuff. And I just don't see the Rams being able to do what they did against Seattle, against San Francisco. I think San Francisco wins big. All right, let's move on here. We got the Giants and the Cardinals. Let's see. Cardinals, are they going to continue the tank? Seems like they actually played pretty well in week 1. Their defense did, and their offense didn't play as bad and stuff. But I just think the Giants get back on track here. Saquon, I think, has that game that people are really hoping him to have. I see that as being a really big thing for them. Um, I think Daniel Jones gets back in the swing of things. I'm a little concerned about the Darren Waller injury and stuff, but we're hoping that's not going to be too big of a thing. It is the hamstring that he injured last year, so that's a little bit of concern. But I definitely see the Giants maybe even throwing on like a 30 burger on Arizona. I don't think they shut them out, but I think it's going to be pretty much non-competitive by the end of the first half. All right, guys, I'm going to take a quick break here. I'll be right back in about 30 seconds for you guys. All right, guys, back here. Let's get back into this. The next game, I just had to turn on the lights here. It was getting kind of dark. So, all right, so we got the Jets and Cowboys. This is, what seemed to be probably the premier game for Week 2 ended up not being the same thing because we've got, Aaron Rodgers now out for the season, and that's just, devastating for all of football. Just really, really sad to see. Didn't want to see that happen at all, and you feel for the guy, right? You feel for the city. You see even Mike Greenberg on ESPN, crying like a baby. It's sad to see because, they had big aspirations. This was a team that was a quarterback away from being able to go to a Super Bowl, you think. So, really sad to see that. But let's see how they kind of rally around Zach Wilson. I'm hoping to see the best for him, right? Like, I really want to see him kind of turn it around, play a little bit better and stuff, and show, maybe a little bit of maturity of what he was able to gain kind of from Aaron Rodgers, and see how these Jets play. The bad news for them, they're going to Big D. And Dallas just, well, they absolutely dismantled the Giants. So really, really sad to see exactly what went down last week. That was an absolute drubbing of the G-men. I just think Dallas right now, like, the way they're going to play this year isn't going to be like the Dak Prescott of yesteryear, where like he kind of goes out and slings the ball and takes chances and stuff. They're just going to do what they can to win each game. And I think that their defense is definitely, I put their defense as either 1 or 2 in the NFL. Michael Parsons, impossible to defend. Trayvon Diggs, and then you had Gilmore on the back there. It just, I mean, they're a great, great football team, and Tony Pollard seems to be that dude that, in terms of the running game, he seems to be able to shoulder the load. I just think they're going to do exactly what they need to do uh, every week. So I just don't see, them faltering in this game. I see them crushing the Jets big time here. So, all right, let's move on. We got Washington at Denver. Kind of an interesting game because like you've got Washington and kind of the new look Commanders, right? With Sam Howell there, who I'm really a big fan of, right? Like this guy, like people are just like sleeping on this guy, like thinking he's not that good. I definitely think there's a way in which that Washington could end up finishing third in this division. Sam Howell's like that guy, right? Like he's proven he can run the ball, can throw the ball really well. Like had really good rapport with Dotson last year. I definitely think that like he's gonna be able to play well enough in this game that they're going to be in it. Denver, I expect a lot out of them because it's a Sean Payton coach team, right? So I really want to see them play better. I just don't know when that's going to be. Javonte Williams seems like he's okay, which is mind-boggling. Tearing up his knee the way he did last year and then coming back, he's a superhuman. But I just think Russell Wilson, like, I know he spread the ball around and stuff, but I want to be able to see him play better. And, I just like kind of what Sean Payton was saying, right? Like, stop kissing babies and start playing. You got to play football, man. Like, that's what you were brought here for. That's what you got to do. And if you can't, like, I definitely see them sitting him if he's not going to be able to get the job done. I think Denver's defense keeps them in this. Just with Surtain there, he's probably the best cover corner in the league next to Sauce Gardner. An absolute stud. I think they need to play well on offense too. I don't think they can just rely on defense. It's going to be a battle of the defenses here, and I think Washington's got the better offense right now. I really do. So I pick Washington beating Denver this week, and I'm sad to say that, but I think that's what's going to end up happening. So let's move on here real quick. Miami at New England. All right, now I know we got some New England fans in the chat here, so a little shout out to the Patriots there for you guys. With Miami, very interesting them coming to town, coming to Foxborough, right, to play the Pats. You know, they had that big win in LA last week, so they travel all the way to the East Coast now, and they're going to go up to Foxborough and play against a Bill Belichick team. I definitely think there's a way that New England keeps this close. I think Mac Jones is going to have to play out of his mind to be able to get this done. But I think honestly, the way you do it, the way you're going to beat Tua and the Dolphins is be able to keep him off the field. So you're going to really need Ramondre Stevenson to run the ball well. If the Pats are able to do that, I don't think Mac Jones has to throw for 300 yards. If it gets into a shootout, that's definitely going to end up happening, right? Like he's going to. I hope it doesn't get to that point where he's going to have to throw 50 times a game because it's going to be scary. I don't think they can keep up with the Dolphins if that's the way they're playing. Um, but they may be forced into that type of game plan if they get behind, you know, far enough early. I have Miami winning this game. I just think they have too much talent right now. But I think a lot of people are going to sleep on New England this year. They're a typical Belichick team without Brady, right? They're going to play very good defense and they're going to be efficient on offense. Last year that wasn't the case, but that was a very different year for New England. Not many years in the past have ever been like that. This offense is going to be more efficient under Bill O'Brien, and they showed that in Week 1. Like I said, they got to run the ball well in order to keep it close and keep Tua off the field. But I still have the Dolphins winning this one. All right. Let's see. We got Saints and Panthers here. This is kind of an interesting one, right? So you got the first overall pick in the draft and Bryce Young playing at home. And then you've got Derek Carr, the new quarterback in New Orleans, right? Coming in. And I really liked what I saw from the Saints the first week, right? Like, don't forget, this is a team that Alvin Kamara is still suspended from. He won't be back next week. He'll be back week 4 because he's suspended 3 games. But this is a team that coming in, you know, Chris Olave played, I thought, pretty well. You know, I know he got hit hard there, ended up going out and leaving the game for a little bit, but he came back and was impressive. Michael Thomas, could this be the year that he doesn't get injured? Maybe finally, after enough failed surgeries that he had, it seems like they finally got things right, and he looked good last week. So I definitely think the Saints are going to be a team to reckon with. I have them winning this division and actually playing pretty well this year. I think they're going to finish one game under 500. I think that's how I predicted it, but they still win the division. And I picked the Saints here to win this game. I just think Derek Carr is going to provide a lot of the younger guys in that locker room a veteran leader that they can really rally around. And I also think this is a guy that's on a mission. Don't forget what Las Vegas did. They kind of cast this guy to the side and said, like, yeah, this isn't our quarterback anymore. Really don't like the way McDaniels handled that. I really don't care for him as a professional. I just think he's a guy that I really don't want to see succeed, and I hate saying that, but like the what he did to Indy, accepting the head coaching job and then kind of bailing the next day, and you know just the way he kind of left Denver in shambles and stuff. I don't trust that guy as a coach, and I just don't think. Don't think he's got great personality. Though what they did to Waller after he ended up getting married and then they ship him out, you know, a couple days later and stuff. Like I don't know. I just don't like the way he kind of handles things in the public eye, and I want to see Derek Carr absolutely crush it this year. So off my pedestal on Josh McDaniels, but back on my pedestal for Derek Carr there. Really like seeing what they do. Listen, I hope Carolina, I hope Bryce Young and them are able to get it going and stuff. I know he had good rapport last week with Hayden Hurst. Seemed like they were playing pretty well together. Miles Sanders was running the ball a bunch and stuff, and heavily involved as a new member of that team. I just don't. I think Carolina's probably a year or two away from being a good team. So I know Bryce Young's going to be able to take his licks and stuff, but people that doubted him and stuff for his size, I hope he's able to silence some of those critics in some of the games this year. All right. So this game, very interesting game here, right? Cleveland at Pittsburgh and stuff. This is going to be an interesting one. You know, you got the Browns coming off that big emotional win off against Cincinnati there, where they kind of just absolutely dismantled them, shut down Joe Burrow and the Bengals and stuff. And they come into this matchup and stuff with, riding high after that, playing against the Steelers team that absolutely got their socks blown off, right? Like the Steelers just got absolutely crushed in week one, couldn't do anything. Browns, you saw some good things from them, right? Deshaun Watson started to be able to move the ball. Looked a little bit like a picture of his former self, dare I say. Personal stuff aside, seemed like he was actually playing pretty well. Nick Chubb, we're going to see him. I know he fumbled the ball and stuff, but let's see what he's able to do this week. He's a guy that's just an absolute grinder, and I love watching him play. You can hand the ball off to him 30 times a game, and that guy's just going to go and keep smashing into the pile, keep pushing the pile as well. So really, really like what the Browns are doing and stuff. I think the Steelers are going to end up turning it around this game. They're playing at home at Heinz Field. I know they were last week, but they had the odds stacked against them with the 49ers, and they just got caught with their pants down, right? Like it just nothing went right for them last week. I think Kenny Pickett gets back on the horse this week. They start playing well. Najee Harris, I think they run the ball well with him and Jalen Warren and have a good week there. You'll probably see Freiermuth getting involved early, being able to move the ball. Pickens will be there. I know they're going to miss Deontay Johnson a little bit, but now's a chance where you can actually see Pickens kind of step into that wide receiver one role. One thing about Pickens that's kind of interesting that people bring up is a lot of people say like, oh, he makes such incredible catches and all that. And listen, I don't want to take anything away from the guy. I really am a big fan of him. I thought he should have been drafted a lot higher than he was. But a lot of the times when he's making these acrobatic catches, it's because he's not able to get separation from the defensive back. And I want to see him be able to play at a higher level. And I think his route running, he's very good. His hands are very good, but I think he needs to be a little bit quicker on that and be able to get that separation. He's going to give himself a much better chance of being a stud receiver in this league. I picked Pittsburgh to win this week. I think TJ Watt, I think the Browns are going to be picking TJ Watt up off of Deshaun Watson quite a few times this game. Be on the lookout, though. The Browns lost Conklin last week. And DeJuan Jones stepped in, and I think he was like the highest or second highest rated offensive lineman by PFF grades in the preseason. Like this guy's a beast. He's 6'8", like 360. I can't even believe he's an actual wall. I wonder how they're going to be able to play with him in there and if he's going to be effective. But I definitely see him stepping into a role. I see a path for that, right? Him stepping into the tackle role, playing very, very well, and Cleveland not missing a beat. So this game I have Pittsburgh winning, but I think it's going to be close with Cleveland. All right, let's move on here. I think that's it. That's right. That's the Monday night game. So just to give you guys a little heads up on this, like if you guys like the content, please make sure to drop a follow and stuff. Let your friends know about it. I'm on YouTube as well. I'm on Twitter at Willie Creamin FF. I'll be back to watch the 1 o'clock games, but I'll also be back next week as well. So just to, if you guys have questions, anything like that, make sure you hit me up on Twitter or drop a message here. If you have questions about fantasy, start-sit decisions, anything like that, definitely get at me and let me know. But thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate the support, and I'll see you guys next Sunday. Thank you so much. Good luck this week in fantasy.